Welcome to my coding school. So let's continue with Flexbox. So here we ended when we said that we have a display which has the display flex for the container. We say it can be inline or it can be block. And then we saw the flex direction which establishes the main axis. And this is how items are going to be arranged. And then we say that they can be arranged using the row moving from the left to the right or from the right to the left, and then up to down or down to up. And then we said that this is called the flex direction. It has four possible values. It has row, here row, it has row reverse, it has column, and then column reverse. And if we say that we have set it row, this means that it's going to be from right to left. And if we set it to row reverse, it's going to be the other way around, from left to right. Then if we say column, it's going to be top to bottom. And if we say column reverse, it's going to be from bottom to up. So in this video, let's look at the flex wrap. So by default, flex items will try to fit to one line. So here, if I go into the browser, so here in the browser, we're still having the column. So let's change this to row, change it to row, save, and go back into the browser. You'll see that by default, they will run like this. And then what I'll do is, we say that the flex wrap, by default, flex items would all try to fit onto one line. So we have this simple container here. It has items inside. So these items will fit on this one line. And then if they can't, then they will go to the next one. So now, let's start by setting the flex wrap to the container. So I'll go to this. And then what I'll do is, I'll comment out this one, leave it to this default. And then I'll set this property called flex wrap, flex wrap, and then by default it's no wrap, meaning that items will remain that way. So now, if I try to reduce this window and then resize it, if we add more elements, you will see that they will not wrap to the next line, they will simply overflow. And then I can change it to wrap, a flex wrap, like this, and they will not overflow, they will simply. So what I will do here in the markup here, I'll add in more items. I'll get this, and then I'll duplicate them 2 times, and then we shall have this. And then if I try to reduce the window, you will see now that at times they will wrap, and then up to a certain point where they will start overflowing. So if I set it to wrap, that's what they will do. So here I'll simply take it back to 6, and then the other value is called a wrap reverse, which will certainly do the opposite. And then we have what we call a flex flow. So this is the shorthand for the flex direction, and then flex wrap properties, which all together define the flex container, the flex container's main and cross axis. So the default value is row and no wrap, meaning they will move from left to right, but then they will not have a wrap. So it is actually recommended that instead of using the flex wrap and then a flex direction, you can use the flex wrap. You set it, you set what you want, and then it will do it. So here I'll come into the code, and then I'll go to the CSS. So instead of flex wrap and then flex the direction, I'll simply set the property is called flex flow. I'll add in flex flow, flex, then flow, and then I'll set it to row, and then I'll set it other property to wrap. So this will do exactly what these two properties are doing. So now let's move on to the next property. So here we have justify content. So this defines the alignment along the main axis. So it helps distribute extra free space left over. So the possible values are flex start, flex end, flex center, space between, space around, and then space evenly. So let's go and set this property, and then we see what it means. So I'll come here into the code, and then I'll go and set justify content, and then we shall start with flex start, and then go to the browser. You'll see that items start from this side, and then they go to the other side, and then if I set flex end, you'll see now that they are starting from this side to this side, but then the order is still item 1 through item 6, and then the other one is called center, like this, and then now they will be in the center, and then the other possible value is space between. So here I'll add space between, and then here you'll see that they are distributed evenly, but then at the start and then at the end of item 6 there will be no space, but then here there will be equal spaces. So the other one is space around. So if we set this to space around and then go back to the browser, you'll see now that they have spaces even at the start and then at the end, but then the space at the start is half the space from item 1 to item 2, and then the rest. But if we want all of these items to have an equal space around them, we simply use this space evenly value, so space evenly, and then save, go to the browser, and you'll see now that the spaces are equal. So now let's go to the next property. We have seen justify content that it defines the alignment along the main axis. It has these possible values of flex start, flex end, center, space between, space around, and then space evenly. And then we saw a simple example. So then let us look at align items. So this defines the default behavior for how flex items are laid out along the cross axis on the current line. So this one, it will be the other way around. It will be on the cross axis. So it has a flex start, flex end, center, stretch, and then a baseline. So let's set that property. So here, what I will do is I'll get rid of these, comment them out, and then I'll set align items, and then we shall start with flex start. F, go to the browser, and then it will start from that side. So now here, what I will do here, instead of comment out this, so instead of these two, so instead of, I'll remove this, then I'll get rid of this. So instead of row, let's use column, save, and now we have these items, taking out the column. So here, flex start, they will start from this side all the way, and then if we use a flex end, save, then they'll start from this side. But remember now that we are using the column, and then flex center, like this, save, and then they'll be now in the center. And then the other one is called stretch, meaning that they will stretch to take the available space. So set it to stretch, like this, save, and then go to the browser, and then you'll see that they have stretched out to fill the available space. And the other one is called a baseline. So we set it to baseline and observe. So here is baseline, save. And then they're telling us that aligns flex items along the cross axis of the current line of the flex container. So this line, I will go through them vertically, but then on the lines of their text. So this is it for this video. I'll see you in the very next one.